Today I'm going to compare between two of the best savings accounts that can grow your money at the highest interest rates, and they are the OCBC 360 account as well as the UOB One account. And I've written articles as well as done videos on these accounts, so you can check those out if you want to. But this is the ultimate showdown between the two bank savings accounts. OCBC 360 and UOB One accounts all have different conditions to fulfill, and they give different amounts of interest for different balance amounts. So depending on which of the requirements you can meet, as well as how much money you intend to put in an account, you may find one account better than the other for your circumstances. So I'm going to go through different set of circumstances as well as different balance amounts to compare what is the best account you should pick among the two. Now, these requirements can sound very similar on paper, but they are actually quite different, and I will delve into it deeper later on in the video. So make sure you watch to the end to get some tips and tricks on how to fulfill the requirements of these bank accounts. The first comparison, I'm going to assume that all the conditions are met and you just want to get the highest interest rate possible from each of these bank accounts, minus things that require you to buy insurance or investment product from the bank. The highest interest rate that OCBC 360 can offer at $100,000 of balance is 4.65% per annum interest, whereas UOB gives you 5% per annum interest. And for balances between 25,000 to 75,000, OCBC gives 3.85%, whereas UOB gives between 3.85% to 4.07% per annum interest. So if you're willing to jump through all the hoops for these two bank accounts, UOB One will give you the higher interest rate between the two accounts. If I were to make this a fair fight and equalize the requirements at crediting your salary as well as just making spend on an eligible credit card, you'll see that OCBC interest rate has dropped to 3.1% per annum for $100,000 of bank balance, and for amounts $75,000 and below, it is 2.65% per annum. And therefore, if you want to use the OCBC 360 account, you need to do the requirement of save, which is essentially increasing your balance by $500 compared to the last month. So if you're going to credit your salary and spend $500 on an eligible credit card, you see that UOB One actually wins this. OCBC 360 can only hold its own when you increase the balance each month, which is something that may not be practical for some people to do. However, if you're not willing to spend, UOB One account becomes not a viable option because it drops to 0.05% per annum interest rate, whereas OCBC still gives you 3.2 to 4% per annum interest, depending on your balance amount. While $500 of spend should be easy for most working adults to put on their credit cards, there may be some people who don't spend this amount, or their $500 of spend does not meet the spend requirement as set forth by the terms and conditions. For example, UOB One has a whole bunch of exclusions that do not count towards the $500 of spend. So it is not surprising that some people might not be able to meet the spend requirement of $500. For such people, OCBC 360 is a clear choice because it still gives you more than 3% per annum interest, even if you don't spend on your credit cards. This video is brought to you by Weeboo, which is giving you an all-time high of $150 when you sign up for the account, deposit $2,000, and make a couple of trades. This is the best sign-up offer they have given to date. And you also enjoy features like fractional trading, which allows you to trade from as low as $5 per trade. And there are no commission or platform fees currently. So an excellent way to start your investment journey with free money, right? Very low trading fees, and also you support this channel. So thank you for signing up, and thanks to Weeboo for sponsoring this video. Lastly, I'll bring up a scenario where someone isn't having a formal salary, perhaps they are retired, or they're a gig worker and don't have a formal paycheck. Across different balance amounts, UOB One will give higher interest rates because it can give you at least 2.5% to 3% per annum interest for balances between $0 to $75, whereas beyond $75,000, the interest rate dips slightly to 2.26% per annum. This is because UOB One allows you to make 3 gyro transactions rather than credit your salary, something that OCBC 360 doesn't have. And you can only expect to get 0.6% per annum interest with OCBC if you just fulfill the spend category. And if you step up your account and meet the save requirement, you can get between 1.8% to 2.1% per annum interest, and that's still lower than UOB's rates. So if you have $100,000 and just want the highest interest rate between both accounts, you can go for UOB One because it gives 5% per annum interest, something that OCBC 360 cannot reach. Only hitting 4.65% per annum interest. But if you have amounts $75,000 or lower, OCBC 360 can give comparable rates to UOB One, assuming you also fulfill the save requirement, which is to increase your account balance each month. If you're unwilling or unable to meet the save requirement of OCBC 360, UOB One will win quite clearly, as you can see from the interest rates here. People who are unwilling or unable to meet $500 of spending on a credit card, however, will find OCBC 360 the only viable option between these two accounts, as UOB One definitely requires you to make spending in order for you to qualify for higher interest. If you're someone who cannot get salary credited to your bank account, then the UOB One will be the winner for you because it allows you to replace it with gyro transactions to get higher interest rates. Now, we should also look at the different requirements set forth by the bank to see which one is easier to fulfill. When it comes to salary crediting, I would say they are fairly even. OCBC 360 requires $1,800 of salary, whereas UOB One requires $1,600. And strictly speaking, UOB One wins in this regard, but I would say that the difference is rather negligible for us to give a winner to either, but UOB One strictly wins this round. When it comes to the spend category, both banks require you to spend $500, which sounds the same on paper, but I will say that UOB has better credit cards to choose from because you can use the UOB Evo, which gives you 6.67% cashback, or the UOB One credit card, which can give you 3.33% cashback, and then bonus cashback if you spend on the bonus merchants. And if you're a lady, you can also pick UOB Ladies cards, which give you 4 miles per dollar if you are into chasing miles. So UOB has very strong cards for you to pick from, whereas OCBC 360 requires you to make your spending on cards such as the OCBC 365, OCBC Titanium Rewards, as well as OCBC 90N. And I would say that these are not as strong cards as UOB's because OCBC 365 firstly requires a higher minimum spend of $800 versus UOB Evo's $600. OCBC 365 credit card also does not have as high a cashback rate as UOB Evo. And while OCBC Titanium Rewards is a very good card when you are buying big ticket items like furniture or electronics, it is not something that you use regularly to clock $500 of spend each month. So that card is also not a very good card for a monthly spend kind of thing. Men who are into miles may be attracted to OCBC more because OCBC 90N gives them miles, although it's just like 1.2 miles per dollar, because they can't qualify for UOB Ladies cards. So that may be something you might want to consider as well if you're collecting miles, and that may sway you to the OCBC 360 account rather than UOB One. Although given that it's just $500 of spend, that's about 600 miles you can get each month from the OCBC 90N. Is that something that justifies losing the interest versus UOB One's higher interest rates? You can go and calculate and find out. OCBC 360 account, however, counts card up and iPayMy transactions to give the bonus interest, and I know this because I've used iPayMy and I got my bonus interest. Now, OCBC likes to push card up as well on their website, so I think if iPayMy works, card up will also work. They share very similar MCCs, so I think all is good even if you use card up. UOB, on the other hand, actually excluded card up and iPayMy transactions from the UOB One account T&C back in August 2022, but in the latest revision, their T&C actually make no mention of card up or iPayMy. So it makes me wonder whether or not they actually removed these exclusions or they actually forgot to include it this time round. And I'm not going to test it and risk losing interest on my entire bank account. So if any brave souls want to test it out, okay, be my guest. Please share your findings with us. Lastly, let's examine OCBC's save category, which I actually consider relatively easy in my review. I'm now going to make a little revision to that and say that the save requirement is actually not as easy if you are someone who needs the account liquidity to do certain things. And that's the whole point of putting our money in a bank account. Okay, one, for high interest, two, also for liquidity purposes. If you want to meet the save requirement, you have to make sure that the average monthly balance increases by $500 each month, which means that you cannot really touch the money in there, or if you do, you need to replace it so that the monthly balance increases by $500 each month. Let me illustrate monthly average balance with an example. Let's say last month your monthly average balance was $99,000. This month, you're supposed to increase it to $99,500. But if you forget to increase your account by $500 on the first day, and you waited until the last day to do so, you will actually need to put in $15,000 This is because $15,000 divided by 30 days is an average of $500 per day. So if you want to increase your monthly average balance, it actually means that you should more or less not touch the funds in your bank account, and then make sure you transfer in $500 at the start of each month. And this may be complicated by the fact that you are crediting salary in, and if you forget to take out, your monthly balance will increase more than you want it to, and it can be a bit of a mathematical hassle to try balance the books, and therefore save category is actually not that straightforward to meet unless you are prepared not to touch it at all and make sure it increases every month. In conclusion, I think UOB One has done a very good job in increasing its rates to be very competitive, such that even OCBC 360 account, which I thought was very good, is now not as good compared to UOB One. So if you want to sign up for any of these accounts, go to my description box and sign up using my links to help support my channel and keep me making more videos. In this environment, banks are updating their products very quickly and rapidly, so subscribe to my Telegram group to get all updates relating to savings, be it accounts, T-bills, SSB, those sort of things. And also watch this video for the review of the UOB One account and this one for OCBC 360. And I'll see you in those videos.